Well, it's still morning. I've had a bit of a sleep in. Tiredness from travelling, I suppose. But it's a gorgeous morning. Absolutely beautiful. It's been raining overnight. And everything's lovely and fresh. I was walking about just a little bit earlier on with my coffee and noticed that the changes in the colours of the leaves are becoming very dramatic. And you can see here with the green beech. I think the green beech is one of the first ones to colour because that's another one over there. So you get these beautiful, vibrant yellows and oranges happening. And I can hear bees. The bees are still buzzing. Let me have a look what kind of bees these are. I think these could... Wow, look at this. They're having... This is their last sort of feast of the year before they go into hibernation. I think most of these are little carder bees. If one of them keeps still for a moment, I'll be able to tell. So between the nasturtiums and the sedums, they're having a really good feast. Now I'm using the camera today, so the sound recording on the camera is excellent, as are the visuals. I think where there's any problem with the sound, it's because I'm using the phone, and the phone isn't as good, really isn't. Despite it being Apple, it's not of the same standard of the camera, but that's only to be expected. So wherever possible, I will use the camera. However, I've got to say this, it takes about 4 to 6 times the length of time to upload a video using the camera, using the little memory card, simply because I don't have an internet connection here. I have no internet. All I have is the hotspot on the phone. So that's just to give you the heads up on that. So recording videos using the camera will be less frequent, simply because of the amount of time involved. Unless, of course, I drive into town and use Wi-Fi in a cafe, in which case it's fine. However, I don't have the time to be driving in and out of town. It's a very dramatic view this morning of Kilronan Mountain. It's dark blue, which usually means there's going to be some rain, and I'm just able to see down the valley a little bit, and it looks as though there's rain falling further west down the valley. There was something that occurred to me last night when I was getting ready for bed. I just pick up these wee sticks. When I was getting ready for bed, and I was thinking about something that I'd seen earlier. I'd watched a little segment on a documentary on YouTube. And most of you will be familiar now with all the work that's been done on water and the memory that water holds. And it occurred to me that part of the miracle that happened here with the spring well, and I'll just recap on the story of the spring well and the fairy wood. And as I recap, I'll walk down into the fairy wood. Jack, come on, going in this way. Little birds that are coming down to this little feeder. I put some. You just have a wee look in there. Oh yeah, there's still some seed in there. I filled that up last night. Well, not filled it up, but I need to put a bit more in there today. Okay. When I first came across this little cottage and land. Oh, and by the way, the photographs of how it looked then are over on the website. And there's a link to the website under this video. The website is bealtainecottage.com. So if you go to the website and you click onto the menu at the very top of the page, you will see links to those photographs. So this land was just rushy, wet, rushy fields. And it was very wet, as I said, very wet. But there was no water on this land. There was water in the land. It was very wet. It was like a sponge. Very difficult to walk in this land. But there was no water flowing. And what I did towards the end of year 1, I think it was, or it may have been during the first winter, I can't recall exactly now, I'd have to go back into my diaries to check. And of course this is featured as well in the book, my first book, A Cottage in 3 Acres. What I did, I borrowed some divining rods, copper rods from a neighbour, and I decided I would have a go at divining for water. Now divining can be carried out, can be done by anyone, alright? But you do have to have your mind absolutely in sync with the land that you are divining. Anyway, I divined for water, and lo and behold, I found that the rods were going very crazy, if you like, over in this area here. And I took the spade and I started digging, and it was rock. It was rock. So I then borrowed a pickaxe from a neighbour, and I decided to start going down through the rock, which isn't difficult here, by the way, because the rock is red sandstone. And as you start to break it, it comes away in slabs, breaks away in slabs. So got down about, well, you'll be able to see now in a moment, I'm just going towards the spring well. Got down about 2 feet. Is this about 2 feet? Maybe 3 feet? And the water started to ooze out. And then as I went further down and the slabs came away, the water came out. Now, this was a spring well uncovered for the very first time. This hadn't existed before, you see. This actually hadn't existed before. This was the first time that the water on this land had been released. The very first time. So, water holds memory. There's been some remarkable investigations into this. And when you see the amount of water that's actually being released from the land, because spring wells themselves are quite still, the water will bubble up from underneath, and now you can see all this water being released. So it's a very strong flow. This water holds the memory of the land, and the land is ancient in that the memories it holds go back thousands of years. And what I have come to understand now is that this memory from Bealtaine Cottage is being released into the world, because this water flows from here down through the 2 ponds that I had dug out 15 years ago, down into a little stream that carries it down into the River Fairish, and from the River Fairish it travels further down into the River Shannon, the mighty River Shannon. And from the River Shannon it flows out into the North Atlantic Ocean. And within the North Atlantic Ocean, the jet streams, the Gulf streams, all the movement in that ocean carries it around the world. So the memory of this land is going out into the world. That is what I think has been the purpose of Bealtaine Cottage. And I mean, it's incredible to think that 15 years ago there was no water on this land. And now look at it. I think that's a very clear, very, very clear picture of what all of this is about. And so therefore, whatever is imbued into this land, everything that's happened over the past 15 years, the tree planting, the nurturing, the co-creating with Mother Earth, this is the message that's leaving this land and going out into the world. And if you are familiar with any of the beliefs of the very ancient tribes that are being rediscovered, if you like, now, you will know what it is they know about the magic of water. Because the health of Mother Earth is dependent upon water. And not just the health of Mother Earth, but of course our ability to live with her. Now, being able to put this picture together has only happened for me recently. Beginning to understand, you see, because I'm so caught up with living with her And it's only when certain things happen that I'm able to put the picture together. And it's no coincidence that I've spent a lot of my life in the enjoyable pursuit of jigsaws, because this experience over the past 15 years has been like a jigsaw for me. I've been slowly putting all the little pieces together to understand what this is all about. And I think I'm only beginning to understand what this is all about. And I think that this is only the beginning of a lot of wisdom which is coming out from Mother Earth and connecting with people who watch these videos, and in a direct way connecting with me, because it is about the consciousness, it is about having moments of stillness and quiet where the consciousness of Mother Earth is able to connect with your consciousness. And that understanding begins to come through. Because of course, and I say this many times, our arrogance prevents that connection with Mother Earth from becoming manifest. You know, this silliness where what we feel, what we innately understand, is undermined by those who say, well, that's nonsense. Prove that. What proof have you got? You know, the arrogance of man that's always said, we need the proof, we need the proof, we need the proof. We innately understand everything. It's the first time I've seen that, where the sun is shining through the end of the driveway up by the cottage. So the message that's leaving Bealtaine and going out into the oceans, I feel that that's very important for Mother Earth, and that could well be the reason why I was drawn here to plant. because, as I've said in previous videos about this, you know, where I've just talked a stream of consciousness talk, I had no clue why I was compelled to purchase this property. It seemed at the time, and for some years after, to be the craziest, stupidest thing that I'd ever done. Not to me. It didn't seem that way to me, but it seemed that way to all the people who cared for me. Because I put myself into extreme poverty, penury, for a lot of years. But it never seemed like that. I never felt impoverished. No, never. And now there is this incredible magic which is here all the time. And Lorraine, you said in one of your comments, this is Lorraine Richardson, New Zealand, you said in one of your comments that you felt that there was, a presence in the cottage, in the other rooms. You said, well, as I said in my reply, my mother told me when she was alive in her human form, when she lived here on and off, and during the time she was ill, and she came to stay with me, and she became perfectly healed here at Bealtaine Cottage. She told me, Colette, when I get up in the middle of the night to go to the toilet, to go to the bathroom, there's hordes of people in this cottage. And they're all talking. They're all there, congregated. As I pass through the sitting room and the kitchen, the rooms are crowded with people and voices. She said it's like the underground train station in London. And I remember laughing and just thinking, yeah, this is true. I never argued with that. There was nothing to argue about. There was nothing to dismiss. My mother was incredibly intuitive. Oh, it was uncanny at times. It was actually nerve-wracking at times because she would just know things. And she comes and goes from here now. And I know she guides people here. And of course she's in communication with many other people now. Very loving, caring woman. She loved Bealtaine. And she could see how it was long before it became. Do you understand that? How it was long before it became. Look at these huge mushrooms that have sprung up and grown and then collapsed. Shaggy inkcap mushrooms. This is where I've piled up all the stuff that I've cut. Of course it'll all biodegrade down and just become part of this earth. Making earth. That's one of the greatest creative acts we can do, besides planting trees. Because we know that trees make earth. But just making earth. This is one of my mother's trees here. She dug this little tree up. It was a tiny wee thing like this. And she dug it up. And I've tried to keep it fairly small and manageable. But like her, it's gone wild. Yeah. How still it is in here. So, this video will take me hours to upload, so I best make a start. The practical now is merging with the ethereal, the psychic. So, off I go now with my practical hat on. And there's the boy. I think the boy deserves a few crackers, so I'm going to go and give those to him. Blessings to you all.